Oh, well, I mean, people will dissect this. We had a negative redistribution. We then had a 2% statewide swing against us, yet I haven't checked the latest numbers, but I think we're now at plus 4% or a bit more than that. So, I use the term defy political gravity because we have. But it's not because of anything, it's because of what we all did together. And that's the key difference. So, now, I know you guys want to dissect the national result. I know you want my views on leaders, blah, 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 blah. I'm not really interested in that. Today is a day to celebrate the efforts of the people behind me and surrounding me. I've discovered who've joined since. So I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to take questions on that. I'm not really interested in the other stuff, and I'll just, do. My phone has exploded in the past 24 hours. And so I do not believe I have, but I can't say anything more than that. The former member has continued to post content on social media suggesting that they wish the count to continue. All I will say is this, which is after the last election, and I think let's be very honest about it, it was brutal, but I showed dignity showed respect, I should say. I showed respect to my supporters, to the people who voted for me by conceding, because I thought it was important to provide a clean slate, but I'll leave my comments there.
You said you don't want to comment on the Liberal leadership. Do you have any aspirations for it?
Well, today I had aspirations for one thing, and it was to have the great privilege and service to be the member for Goldstein again. And, of course, we have lived out that promise. I can't hear you, I'm sorry. There'll be lots of people who will make remarks. I mean, it doesn't shock anybody that I have a deep interest in economic policy. The last time I was in federal parliament, some would say that I overused the economics committee, but I nonetheless used it very assertively because I look at the challenges this country faces right now and the scale and the sense of urgency, and nothing has changed. In fact, it's become more substantial. And what drove this campaign locally was a sense of hope and aspiration about what we can build for the future of the country. And it comes down to a simple proposition. Can you go on and get a good education? Can you go on and get a good job? So you can, of course, save and buy a home. So you can support your family and save to put yourself in a position in retirement. And that sense of aspiration, that dream, is at risk right now. We are in a time in history where a lot of things that we have been able to take for granted as a country now sit on the precipice. And the current government has thrown sugar on the table to get themselves through an election, but they have not addressed the root cause of the problem. And one of the reasons why there's been such a groundswell in this community is because so many people who own small businesses are suffering. Where my campaign office in Bay Street, 3 shops have closed in only the past couple of weeks. And people are now living the consequences of the failure of this government and its policies, but more importantly, the lack of courage that this government is showing for building out the future of this country. So I will always want to be part of the conversation to build Australia's future, and particularly its economic future, because from that stems our social unity, our sense of equality, but also our sense of aspiration and dreams for the next generation of Australians.
Much has been said about the coalition not offering credible economic policy. What do you think the coalition needs to do in terms of climate and economic policy to be relevant to modern Australia? And do you think nuclear needs to come off the table?
Well, again, I said I'm not really going to get into a lot of the policy discussion right now, but I will make some simple observations. When I was last in Parliament, I spoke favourably, and because in my core sense of believe in the role of nuclear power, not as an end, but as a beginning. We talked about this in our campaign launch. Nuclear power is part of building the future industrial base of our country. If we don't do that, then we are saying either, one, we're going back to coal, or we as a nation are going to deindustrialise. That is not a future I am prepared to accept. I am about building out the future so that the next generation can lift their eyes one step higher one angle higher and look further into the horizon. And that's why it's so important to have honest conversations with the Australian people, to be part of building out that future, and to make the case, not just simply put something out there and see whether it's going to be tested. We must fight vehemently, passionately, with energy, with courage, because it comes from who we are and what we believe and the policy we want to take forward to build out an alternative vision for this nation. I continue to answer the questions the same way before, which is I had one aspiration, which is to have the great privilege to be the member for Goldstein, and that has been realised. But there is a lot of work that we need to do. I'm very proud to be part of a Liberal team, but as a Liberal team that is going to have a lot of work ahead of it. But I'll make the remark again. 3 years ago, we were written off here. We went back to the ground. We listened. We heard the messages from the community. We were honest with ourselves enough to learn and grow. We looked at what it is we needed to build and to appeal to people's sense of aspiration and hope for the future of this country. We are an example of what can be done if you look at, I don't want to say defeat as a gift, but I've said that previously, where we've been honest enough to say there are lessons to learn and that we can be part of building a defining future for this country. And that is where I am critically focused. It's obviously deeply emotional for me, because it's one thing to have had the privilege before, but to have it a second time. But even more so, when I was first pre-selected in 2016, and I've had this conversation with many people in the community, and they've said it, we voted for you because you were the party's candidate. This time, the community rallied to our cause. And so this time the community said, this is the choice that we are making. And so it takes what was already an incredible privilege and adds a squared or maybe a cubed attached to it, where we now have a sense that, and with that sense of honesty about what we want to do, very clearly that we can then help and go and shape not just the community's future, but the nation's future. Because I've said consistently throughout this campaign, when Goldstein's values help shape the direction of Australia, we are a better nation. And that is what we are going to seek to do. I'll take one final question.
And just finally, on that work you said that needs to be done with the party, have you had much of a chance to speak with fellow candidates, colleagues, about what has gone wrong for the Liberal Party? No doubt there's a lot of self-search going on.
To be frank, I haven't. Most of the people I've been talking to the extent that I've been able to, and I know I have a lot of phone calls to answer, I know, I'm doing what I can, is to talk to residents in Goldstein, because they're the ones who gave me the great privilege to stand here today, and I am not oblivious to this. And that, obviously there's a lot of good wishes. There are a lot of people saying what they hope and for the service for the next 3 years. But a lot of what they've said is just go for it, because we didn't put you there to be a shy or timid or retiring flower. We put you there because we want you to be part of the conversation, and because they can see where not just the Liberal Party is, but also where Australia is, and they see what is on the line. And they want the next generation of Australians to believe that they can have a better future. And that is what we said we would fight for, and that is what we're going to do.
Go for it.
Thanks, guys.